Skip Murphy, 9 Gilford Glen Road, and if my voice sounds muffled, I'm happy to take this down. I just don't want to get other people infected with what I've got. Just as last time, I am looking to go on the rule of law. I've twice put in 2 right-to-know requests or demands, depending on how you wish to look at it, on guidance C. A student has the right to be addressed by a name or pronoun. And let me pass this out to the school board members. Because that also goes further than just that. As I said last time, government has powers, people have rights. Powers are limited by the U.S. Constitution as well as by the New Hampshire Constitution. In this case, I believe that the school board is trying to assume a power that it has not been granted. Twice before I have put this in and gotten responses back from the superintendent that have not answered the question and have basically either deflected, avoided, or answered questions that I did not ask. So I'm putting this in once more and asking 2 different things. What is the authorizing legislation that grants a power to the school board in order to grant a right, such as a student has the right? Second, in this case, this right, according to the school board, places obligations on everybody around that student for coerced speech. In other words, preferred pronouns. It's one thing to be voluntarily using those pronouns. It is another thing to be forced to use those pronouns. That's all I'm asking for in this right to know, to be able to understand where the school board has the power to do this. What is that authorizing legislation to do that? Because otherwise, this is a violation of the law itself. Thank you.
Jean Clark, 56 Brucewood Drive. Good evening. I'm speaking tonight in support of the Gilford School District's transgender and gender nonconforming students policy. I believe it's critically important that we create learning environments that are supportive, safe, and create a sense of belonging for all children. When my daughters were toddlers, we attended a weekly story time at a Lakes Region Public Library. We went every week and enjoyed getting to know other moms and kids and staff at the library. There we met Pat, the library assistant in the children's room. She was lovely with the children, kind, gentle, respectful. It was getting towards Christmas, and I wanted to say thank you to Pat for her good work, so I asked the children's librarian if there was a gift Pat might enjoy receiving. She responded, he would love a tie. So not picking up on the language switch, I said, she'd like a tie? A men's tie? Yes, he would love it. Pat's transgender. I admit I was confused. I had never heard the word transgender. But I went out, I bought a tie, gave it to Pat, and of course he loved it. Soon after, Pat went off to college, and as far as I know, he's doing well and living a full life. 25 years later, I still remember Pat and my first introduction to a person in gender transition and how difficult it is to navigate that world. I speak in support of Pat and others like him. I speak for their right to be called by their chosen name, their personal pronoun of choice, access to bathrooms and locker rooms that match their gender identity, and sports teams and extracurriculars that match their interests. The proposed policy is a good starting point. There are other things we could do. using the word transgender in classrooms, talking about LGBTQ in health class, inviting people to speak about their transgender experiences, offering teacher workshops and information sessions for Gilford residents. A few weeks ago, the Gilford Community Church held a community forum. It was called Ask a Transgender Person Anything, and almost 40 people attended. I was so proud to hear the questions from the audience and remember that Gilford is a community where people want the best for all children. And that's why I support the transgender policy for Gilford schools. Thank you.
Would you like to be identified by the chair before you come to the podium?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Good evening and thank you. My name is Lisa DiMartino and I live at 356 Morrill Street in Gilford. For disclosure, I am the former chair of the Disability Rights Center and I'm currently a board member. I serve on many committees, advisory boards throughout the state as a disability rights advocate, but I'm here tonight as a resident, parent, and friend. I am the mother of a fantastic young man, John Michael, who has a rare syndrome and numerous challenges and disabilities. John Michael attended the school system until he was 21. As a disability rights advocate and mother, inclusion is what I always advocate for John Michael and others like him. Also, fostering an environment that is safe, welcoming, and free from stigma and discrimination for all students is what every school should strive for. Our transgender policy should embrace these same principles, and further, it should ensure compliance with local, state, and federal laws concerning bullying, harassment, privacy, and discrimination. Many of the arguments I heard at the last meeting concerning the transgender policy, I believe were based on fear and misinformation. Is this fear based on the unknown? Is it based on religious beliefs? Or on the First Amendment rights about freedom of speech? Or a combination of all these things? I'm really not sure. The one thing I do know is that unwarranted fear can evolve into hate, bullying, and discrimination. We don't want that for Gilford. Our town is better than that. Teaching acceptance of differences is what makes us a better community. It's what makes our children more empathetic, more caring, more understanding of differences amongst their friends and peers. I know this firsthand from my own experience with my son. I've had individuals say to me that my son and others like him weren't worth the money to educate because they wouldn't grow up to amount to anything. This thought process is just wrong. John Michael and others like him that may be special, unique, or different make this community better when they are included and accepted. We feel blessed that Gilford embraced John Michael and that he loves and feels loved by many in this community. That said, it hasn't always been easy and there's always been many hurdles of discrimination to overcome. Inclusion and acceptance of transgender children in our schools is more than just about policies and procedures. It's about our children learning from teachers and parents and community members about what it means to be transgender. The recent transgender forum at the Gilford Community Church was wonderful and very informative. I wish that many of the individuals that oppose or question the transgender policy attended this very informative session in order to help better understand and alleviate some of the unwarranted fears. Having a transgender policy is the first step for inclusion for transgender children. The message to them and all students is that we value you, we accept you, we are committed to creating an environment where you can all thrive and learn. The children of this town will follow the lead and guidance of adults if we embrace a culture of acceptance and inclusion for all. Then our children will be more welcoming and caring and empathetic towards each other. Gilford will be better for creating a comprehensive transgender policy. And as we know, inclusion is not about acceptance of a few, but rather embracing and accepting of all. Thank you.
Crook TV.